Hi, I'm Alex Ross, and this is my TED Talk on virtue ethics and humor. Virtue ethics was founded and advocated by the well-known philosopher Aristotle. Aristotle defined virtues as habitual dispositions to express emotion or capacities in contextually appropriate ways. To accompany this philosophy of ethics, Aristotle created a spectrum for individual emotions and action tendencies. We can visualize these actions as being laid out on a line, with the endpoints representing the extremes and the center or mean representing the ideal virtue. An example might help to clarify this. Bravery has long been considered a desirable virtue to possess. If we were to place bravery on a spectrum or line, there would be two extremes. One represented by cowardice, for those possessing too much fear, and reckless for those possessing too little fear. In the middle of these two extremes lies the mean, or the point in which the virtue is expressed in a just right capacity, which in this example would be labeled as bravery or courage. It is at this point that one truly possesses a virtue. At this mean, one has made a habit of keeping impulses and emotions from leading him or her astray. In modern-day society, humor is a crucial aspect to how we are perceived, how we act, and how we conduct our lives. Given that humor is a desirable trait, and by loose extension morally good, the trait of humor is an adherence to the definition of virtue, and we can therefore fit it on Aristotle's line of virtue ethics. I think it is reasonable to say that the mean for humor is ready-wittedness. One who possesses ready-wittedness is quick to crack a joke and let their intelligence be displayed in a comical fashion. So that is the mean of humor. But what are the extremes? On the one side, we have dullness. They're the people who you talk to and it feels like you are talking to a stop sign. They seem inherently unable to acknowledge a joke, comment on a funny statement, or even laugh. Everyone knows the kind of people I'm talking about, and I don't think I need to go into greater detail on how to identify these dull individuals. But what about the other extreme? Can anyone actually be too funny? Maybe too funny is not the right terminology for it. I don't think one can be too funny, but one can be aggressive and abrasive in their humor, which leads to the other extreme on the humor spectrum, offensiveness. There is no better example than Daniel Tosh, the comedic star of comedy works Tosh.0. I admit I think Tosh.0 is hysterical. It's funny and crude and includes everything that a college kid could want in a show. However, there are times when Daniel Tosh oversteps his boundaries and crosses from crude humor into offensive humor. According to Mr. Tosh, rape jokes are funny. Okay, but when a woman shouted to him that rape jokes are never funny, Daniel Tosh's response was, "Wouldn't it be funny if that girl got raped by like 5 guys right now?" Was clearly out of line and inappropriate. That's the kind of language and the laughter you keep for the bathroom. Feel free to tell it in a room full of your wasted bros, but maybe that kind of offensive humor should stay there and not be on the comedy stage. The context of the joke was needlessly inappropriate, and Mr. Tosh clearly let impulses lead him outside the virtuous part of humor. So how do we decide where the virtuous mean of humor is? Clearly, it differs depending on the person and the contextual variables. As Daniel Tosh demonstrated, what's funny at home may not be funny on stage. As for the individual, I can tell you that my virtuous mean is a lot closer to the dull side than that of Daniel Tosh. I may make myself laugh, but I've been met with deadpan silence after some of what I consider my most hysterical jokes. The point is that because I am me and not Daniel Tosh, I lie on a different point on the humor scale. The need to analyze humor on a virtue scale may seem pointless. But with the speed of communication these days, one slip-up, one indulgence in arrogant impulses is not only found to be offensive to one individual, but to thousands. For this reason, each individual needs to evaluate the contextual variables and find an appropriate personal mean of ready-wittedness and act in a virtuous manner in regards to humor.